Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. Welcome on in to the Sports Buffoons studios over here in Overland Park, Kansas. Episode 50 going on for us today, guys. Tanner Dawson and Jason JG and Mike Settle running it. What's up, guys?
Going on,
What's
guys?
up, y'all? It's JG back up in the hizzle.
Can you guys believe we've been doing this for 50 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like about 50, I think, at this point, so makes sense. I mean, yeah.
How crazy is that?
It doesn't feel like 49 or 51. Definitely feels like 50.
It's definitely 50, though. Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, you know, for some people that's too many, and for other people it's just not enough. So we'll see what we can do about that.
Well, we're going to go on to from 50 to 75 to 100, and, you know, it's almost like LeBron said about the rings back in the day, about having, you know, not one, not two, not three. Well, we're going to continue on that way with this show going on for quite a while throughout the entire offseason of the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs have some things to talk about as of today. So, Tim, did you guys see about the comp picks that came out for the Kansas City Chiefs? The Chiefs got an additional 4th and 5th round pick to add to the draft this year. That's pretty cool.
They did. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I was pumped to see them on the list.
Picks number 144 and 181, as a matter of fact.
And that's where we shine, is in right around those picks.
I love that. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed was a 4th round pick, I believe, and he ended up becoming a stud in year 1 as a rookie. So with Brett Veach under the helm there, I think that it's going to be just fine going forward with having 8 total picks to work with in the draft coming up. They got to shore up the O-line, though, somehow. That's got to be added some depth across the board, really. I mean, we have Austin Ryder, the center, is actually a free agent.
Yep.
We have Fisher and as well as Mitchell Schwartz on both ends at tackle position coming back from injuries. So they got to do something to fix up the O-line, I think.
You got to remember, too, we got people coming back, too, that sat out, right?
Right, yeah.
So
Lucas
our rookie,
Nyang, of course,
right?
is going to be coming back from his what do you call that? He opted out of the season due to COVID, so
And then
that's
we got
fine.
the doctor coming back, so
doctor.
hopefully he is, he's healthy, recovered, and strengthened up as well.
Those guys would have been nice to have in the Super Bowl to protect Patrick Mahomes because that was pretty ugly.
Anybody could have done better.
He rushed for 500 yards from behind the line of scrimmage. That's pretty impressive for Patrick. So
and throwing the ball
it's also embarrassing for the Chiefs.
I mean, at this point, it would have been nice to have you, Tanner, protecting for Patrick Mahomes because you probably could have done just as good, man, if not better. I don't know.
Oh, I would have done way better. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Tanner,
well, you weigh like 200 pounds, right? I mean, you could have done a pretty good job.
Yeah, 200 pounds, yeah.
200 pounds, yeah. Tanner, you would fit in as a replacement for Anthony Sherman, who just retired this past week, actually. He's now 32 years old, and he is actually apparently going to be getting involved in law enforcement. It's something he's always wanted to do. He had a hashtag on his Instagram that said Deputy Sheriff, so obviously he's got some goals.
Do you like his outfit, though? Like the vest and everything, and he flew off in the helicopter?
Oh, he's always had a
classic,
cool personality.
Man. That's classic.
He's always had a cool personality.
That's his training camp outfits, too. He always walks in training camp with outfits.
I think it was it this past year he walked up wearing a NASCAR outfit?
Yes.
He had a full Chiefs
pretty sure it was
NASCAR suit and helmet when he walked into training camp.
That's just a guy you want to be around, go get a beer with. So all the props to him. Congrats to him on his retirement, and hopefully, he does what he wants to do.
Do you guys remember how he came to Kansas City, as a matter of fact? Remember how he became a Chief?
I want to say it was through a trade.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't remember the exact trade.
Who did we send off to get Anthony Sherman back in 2013?
2013?
He's been around, I think, that long for Chiefs anyway.
Who did we trade down to 2013? Do you remember, Jason?
Was it Christian Okoye?
Christian Okoye is not correct.
No, it's not
but
correct.
Close,
right.
but no cigar on that one.
Try it again.
We're gonna go with me here wearing my I'm wearing my Mexican attire today. I've got everything on. If you're watching here on YouTube, you can obviously see me in a poncho.
Wait,
and my
I
hat.
got it. Was it Gilbert Arenas?
You're close. Actually, it's a cousin. It's a cousin of Gilbert Arenas.
Javier?
Javier Arenas was traded to the Arizona Cardinals to pick up
that's right.
Anthony Sherman.
I couldn't believe we actually got people out of that.
I still get
Correct.
credit, though. I got his last name right, so I get credit for that.
I think the Chiefs got the better end of that deal, getting Sherman in favor of getting rid of Javier Arenas, who I would see at Target all the time back in the day. Do you guys remember seeing him walking around in there when we were working over there together?
I did see him one time, and he was built like a football player.
I gave him the tomahawk chop one time when I was pushing carts.
I remember Mike always walking up. He was like, "Oh, Javier's here." and you run right to him, and like any Chiefs player after that, you just like come find me first, and then you go take me to them.
I'd get really excited, even over guys like Javier Arenas walking around at grocery stores. So,
but honestly, you should have known at that point if he was wandering into Target, he was bound for failure, right? You should.
I knew that.
What the hell?
I knew that. I knew that
at that point of the night.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like John McGraw used to be at Target all the time too. So he was just hanging around town. All right, guys. More important things to discuss here. Did you guys notice the NFL salary cap actually went down this season? In 2020, it was at $198 million for every team across the board. This year, coming into the season, as free agency begins, a new league year begins 1 week from today, and that is at $182.5 million for each team. So it went down about $16 million across the board. So if you're a veteran as a free agent this year, you might be getting screwed. You're not going to be getting the money that you would typically get in a normal year, because normally with inflation, you see that number go up. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for teams. The Chiefs are currently about $20 million over the cap at the moment. So they're going to have to make some moves to adjust a few things, I think, and see who they end up keeping or getting rid of as time goes on. So any thoughts on the salary cap this season, having a change and adjustment for veteran players?
I don't know. It's going to be, you're really going to see the smart teams make the smart moves, right? So this is where you're going to separate competition. Who can keep their roster, who can add better talent without spending or without having an issue, right? So Brett Veach, he's one of the guys that said, hey, as long as it's above 175, I think he said, he's fine. So we're going to see him make his moves. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the salary cap going down, we talk about this a lot on the show. When you're looking at running back position specifically, nobody ever wants to pay the running back position. They always want to just get better in the draft. And so a lot of these running backs that are out there, as free agents, they might not be getting as much money as they expected because it's the salary cap's going down. So, you're sitting out there as a running back. I mean, that position is going to be valued even less than it was before, in my opinion.
Agreed. It really will be. That's a good call out right there.
We got a few names to talk about in free agency here in a few minutes, but first and foremost, as far as how the Chiefs go going into the offseason here, there's quite a few unrestricted free agents for the Chiefs that are very well-known names. I think if I looked at the list, it was something around 20 players currently are going to be free agents on the Chiefs team. And some of those guys, I want to play a game with you two right now. We're going to play a little bit of a TINDER swipe left, swipe right kind of a scenario here with some Kansas City Chiefs or potentially former Kansas City Chiefs here going forward in a couple weeks. So I'm going to name off players from the team currently, and if you do not want them going forward, let's take the money out of the equation. Then I want you to swipe left. If you want to keep them, then swipe right. So starting off with that, let's go with Sammy Watkins. Are you going to swipe left or swipe right?
Now, just to be clear, we're swiping left if we want to get rid of them, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
That means he's a nasty bitch.
All right, so Sammy Watkins, we're going to swipe him left just because, I feel like he's already made his mark on the Chiefs, and he probably doesn't have a whole lot left to give. So we're going to swipe him left and get rid of his ass.
I'm going to go ahead and swipe right and keep Sammy Watkins. I'd like to see him for a couple more years. I still feel like he has value to give. Yes, the injuries. Yes, he's injury prone. Whatever. When the guy's on the field, he is a difference maker. He is a guy, a weapon. I didn't think we saw enough between Pringle and Hardman to be able to say, hey, we got a for sure number 2. We didn't see that this year. Not what we talked about, especially as a group going into the season, the Hardman value. So I'm going to go right. I'd rather keep Watkins for another year or two. It may be like a small deal, a year or two deal. So.
Interesting. To be a number 2, though, Tanner, you also got to be on the field. And so that's a problem that I see for Sammy Watkins. As we all know, I think he's an injured bum at this point of his career. And I think that's going to be a problem because he's as good as a player as he can be when he's on the field. He's not consistent, and it's going to screw with the team during midweek practices. Now, this Chiefs offense is better when he's on the field. That is a fact. We see it in the statistics. But then again, we have enough of a sample size of statistics to know for a fact that that is the case. At the same time, is he replaceable? Yes, absolutely. We can find a body who's going to be there more consistently to replace him as time goes on. And Byron Pringle is freaking awesome. So I think if you give him a shot, there's a chance that he could make a move. But I'm going to go swipe left on Sammy Watkins for me. So after that, we're going to go Dirty Dan. Daniel Sorensen is going to be 32 years old soon, 31 at the moment. Our safeties are looking pretty well. I mean, we have good young guys. Tyrann Mathieu still young. Juan Thornhill still young. And so, with that said, is he going to be a swipe left or swipe right?
Well,
Is Dirty Dan a dirty bitch? Is what I'm asking.
Well, he is a dirty bitch, but I am going to swipe his ass right because I love the guy's football IQ. And he's been on the Chiefs for a long time now, and he's a guy that we trust. So I'm swiping him right because of his football IQ.
This is a guy I'm really torn about because we do have some pretty good depth in the secondary that could take Dirty Dan's spot. I've always been a push and pull kind of guy with Dirty Dan. I love his play at times, but dang it, turn your head around, man. Come on. I'm gonna go left. I'm swiping left on Dirty Dan. We got Armani Watt still in the background. We got Snead who could fill in that position. I'm going left, man.
That's amazing. Like he's keeping Sammy Watkins and getting rid of Dirty Dan. That's an amazing take there, Tanner.
We must have a different taste in guys, I guess.
We do.
I'm gonna go swipe right on Dirty Dan. I think he does the deed just well for me anyway. Now, yeah, he does have. He's always had off and on moments. He's always had productive moments, and then other times where it's like the guy's horrible. But then again, he's not like awful like guys in the past. Ben Neiman of the Chiefs currently is pretty awful, and so I think that Dirty Dan's worth keeping around for at least another year or two. And we all know Andy Reid is a Mormon as well. BYU connection with Dirty Dan is going to want to keep him around with that too. After that, we got 29-year-old Bashaud Breeland, a cornerback, a starter for this team. Is he going to be a swipe left, swipe right?
Yeah, I'm going to swipe left on Bashaud Breeland just because I think that we should be able to afford him to keep him, and I think we can trust him to do his job.
Wait, so you're keeping him? So isn't that swipe right?
Swipe right. I mean, who knows? Nobody knows which way is left or right.
Well, Eric over here in the comments actually mentioned, what about a super like? So save your super like, don't use it yet, but wait till the iron's hot, then strike that bitch and get her when she's real good.
Right. We don't know our left from right. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna
go
swipe
right.
Look,
go
swipe
right
on Bashaud Breeland.
We're not Tinder people. Anyways, I'm going swipe right, so I'm keeping Bashaud Breeland. Right. I want this guy. He is a big piece when he is outside of suspensions and everything last year. He's still a big piece for the cornerback. He is our number one cornerback. We got to keep the guy.
Yeah, I would like to keep him probably for another year or two if we can get him on a good deal. I do think that there is some good young corners on this team. I'm still a fan of Rashad Fenton, and I think L'Jarius Sneed is a legitimate starting caliber cornerback for this team, at least from what he's shown so far. And as long as they can keep around at least one of the two, Tereus Ward or Breeland, then that's going to be just fine for the cornerback group this year. I'm going to go swipe right. I'd like to keep him around for at least another year if we can make that happen. I got 4 more for you guys. Demarcus Robinson.
Okay, well, I'm going to go left with him because we can do a little bit better than Demarcus Robinson. I think he needs to be out of here. Let's get him out of here.
Yeah, I'm going left. See you, dude. I don't want you. There's a different depth between Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson, and we got players that could fill that Demarcus Robinson role. I'm good. See you, man.
For me, it's a swipe left. Did you see his profile? It says cannot catch balls. So that's not going to work out for me very well. I need someone who can handle things like that. So, D-Rob, get the hell out of here. Go somewhere else. After that, we got our starting center, Austin Ryder. Is he going to be a swipe left, swipe right for you guys?
That's a good question.
I mean, I'll swipe left.
Is it because he sucks, or what's your anything?
Yeah, he sucks.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I'd have to go left too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're not talking money, but I don't think he's worth the payroll. We have other guys that could probably fill that spot.
Yeah, let's move on. He was part of that O-line in the Super Bowl that helped get Patrick Mahomes destroyed. So,
yep.
And I've never been a fan of Austin Ryder. I've always thought he was a below-average center that we could do way better with if we just find somebody else. Even Dan Kilgore, I thought, played better at times.
Oh, by far.
And he was a backup for the team. So after that, we got Tano Pasano. What do you guys think of him?
Yeah, I'm going to swipe right on him. I think he's a keeper.
You know, if this was Grindr, I'd definitely swipe right, like Eric said here. So
is it because he's tall and lanky?
Dude, the guy's a freaking beast.
I know. I've seen him with his shirt off. Yeah.
I haven't seen.
Look at his profile picture.
Oh, I haven't looked at his profile.
It's beautiful.
Look, the
I
guy,
mean, I don't know.
the guy has really built or came into the defense ever since Spags took over. He's got to get his hand down in the dirt. He's been a force. I love the guy. He has a great depth as well on the line. So I am keeping this guy. He's actually, I will admit, he is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite player on the Chiefs. So
Whoa.
I want to keep this guy.
Your favorite
That is
player
a-
on the Chiefs.
I've loved Tano since he came in the league. Second round from Villanova. So
That is crazy,
let's
actually.
go Tano, baby.
So he
Okay,
just
Tanner.
said he's better than Patrick Mahomes, basically.
I
Is it
know.
better?
I
Well,
didn't say,
even
I said,
then.
I said favorite, not
Okay.
better.
Favorite, not better. Okay.
That's actually pretty. That's
Thank you
still
for
a big
pointing that
praise.
out.
Like, of all the players on the, like, you have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce.
Look,
you could talk about anybody. Tyrann Mathieu, anybody.
yeah, they're fun, but like guys like this who are they're a force to reckon with, where they can go through people. He does what I like to see. He's one of my favorites.
Well, you might have low standards. I don't know, but I will give him a swipe right though. I like
You
Tano
better
for
give
what
him
he
a swipe
for
right.
what he does. I think he can do better. Of course, he's going to do better eventually. I think as time goes on. But why not keep him? He's not going to cost very much. He'll be cheap. And after that, I got actually two more for you guys. But let's go Travarius Ward, cornerbacks. We have both of our starting corners right now up for auction per se. Is Ward a swipe left, swipe right?
Oh, he's going swipe right all the way just because I think he's a big baller.
Ooh, I'm going left, man.
Okay.
I liked Ward. I didn't think he was as great last year. It kind of had me
Yeah.
feeling like an early Veets cornerback pick that we got from free agent. Can't remember his freaking name now, but it has a feeling of that he's starting to go downhill. I'm good. I think we got Rashad Fenton and Hamilton behind him with Snead who can take the other side. I think we're okay. I'm good with Sword.
I think we can live without him, especially if we do keep Breland. We got to keep one of the two,
Yeah,
no matter
correct.
what.
And I'd rather
So
keep
we
Breland
both
over
agreed
Ward.
keep Breland, right?
Yes.
So with that said, we all want to keep Breland. Then I can go left on Ward and let him walk and not pay him whatever kind of contract he's going to end up wanting.
Right.
So I'm cool with letting him go. It's not a big deal to me. And then I got one more for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and use that super like real quick on our restricted free agent, Byron Pringle. Go ahead and lock him in, give him that tender, if you know what I'm saying, and make him a part of this team for quite a while going forward, I think.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
think
productive, great player just in general. Good football player.
I mean, I think we're all on the same page on that part, right? Like,
Yeah.
Pringle's a yes. Like we want to keep this guy. Ever since he really showed out in preseason, tore his, I believe his ACL in the last preseason game. Mike and I think we're actually there for that, or maybe I was with Eric, my brother, on that one. But that was a sad sight to see. But yeah, Pringle, he has a bright future with the Chiefs, especially Patrick Mahomes throwing that ball.
Yeah, I totally agree. We're going to swipe right on Pringle because we're going to get him on the cheap.
All right, you guys. So with all that said about the Chiefs free agent list, we will know more here in the next week. Next week's going to be another fun show as far as that goes. The Chiefs do pick 31st in the draft. Real quick off the top of your head, if you guys had to pick a position for that selection, what position would you like the most? I have a player in mind that does stand out that could be there, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I'm going to have to go with quarterback. What do you think about that, Tanner? Agree or disagree?
I'm not going quarterback, but I will go another positional player outside of the O-line. We have some pretty good depth in the wide receiver range and the tight end range in this draft, so I wouldn't mind taking an early stab at one of those two to help comfort us on the offensive side for Travis Kelce, for instance, who we have nobody under, or a Tyreek backup as well with maybe some speed. That it wouldn't hurt. It
All
wouldn't hurt.
right. Well, I'll give you my official answer now that we're being serious. I'm going to go with either an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. That's who I want.
But we have so many edge rushers right now. We have so many.
Tanner.
We have so
You
much
have-
on the
okay.
defensive line.
You can have edge rushers, but you need quality guys too that can actually get pressure. Like Chris Jones is consistently the one that gets the pressure from the interior. Frank Clark's not consistent. Tano Pasano is not consistent. Mike Dana hasn't proven anything yet. Alex Okafor has not proven anything. The outside edge rushers need to be improved for sure. So that is something that should be targeted in this draft.
I think you don't go early on it. I don't think you go
No?
early on it. No,
It's hard
man.
to find those guys later on though.
Yeah.
Unless you get like an Elvis Dumerville who slides down because of his height of 5'11". then at that point you're just not going to find good edge rushers later on. It doesn't happen very often.
I still feel like defensive line is not our worry, right? I don't feel like that is a necessary right now. I think we got to go other positions, aka linebacker probably wouldn't hurt to get early for where we're at.
All right. Well, I think that the Chiefs need to be looking at offensive line, someone who is versatile, that fits what Andy Reid likes, because he likes guys that can play all over the field as far as at the O-line position. You want to be able to, if you can play tackle, play guard. You got to be able to do both. There is somebody from Alabama named Alex Leatherwood who kind of stands out because he's had a lot of time at guard. He's also had time at tackle as well. So he's a guy that I think would be a great pick to make, and that could eventually replace either one, Eric Fisher or Mitchell Schwartz down the road, as well as possibly start from day one along the O-line. And then, at that point, maybe even work him in as a center. So keep that in mind as well.
Yes.
But we have a lot of draft to talk about here in the next few weeks coming up. The draft is currently slated for April 29th, I believe.
That's a shame.
And so that's...
that's a shame.
Well, hold on. That's 7 weeks away.
Yeah, that's...
6 weeks away.
Yeah.
Seven,
I'm
6
not
weeks.
going to be able to watch that with you, Mike.
Oh, that's right. You're doing some anniversary things, right?
Yeah, that's my anniversary night.
Oh, man.
So it just means we'll go out to a spot where there's a TV so I can watch it. So
that's right. Just take her out, make her feel good, but don't pay attention to her, Tanner. That's what she likes. All right, Jason JG, you are the NBA king of our crew right here. So I've been paying attention a little bit to some moves that the Nets are making, and I think this team is now well-rounded. I don't think there's a flaw in the team anymore. There was an issue defensively with them, but I think when you talk about the mix of Durant and Harden, and now we have a Blake Griffin in the mix, tell me more.
Yeah. So, big pickup, or you could call it a small pickup if you like, but they did pick up Blake Griffin the other day. So I personally think it's a great pickup for the Nets, and it's a great situation for Blake Griffin because he's not going to be asked to do very much, especially in the offense. He's essentially the number 5 option behind KD, James Harden, Kyrie, and Joe Harris. And so the only thing they're going to ask Blake Griffin to do on the Nets is just play the small ball 5. And so he's not going to be the impact player that he once was, but he's a veteran guy that you can trust to be in the right place at the right time to help the team. So I want to know you guys' thoughts on this move, and I also want to know what you think this does to maybe help the Nets compete with the Lakers, because when you look at the standings and the MGM odds, it's kind of the Lakers and the Nets are kind of even right now. So what do you think this Blake Griffin move does, Tanner, to help the Nets try to beat the Lakers?
Look, I actually like this move. It gives them another threat. So the guy gets matched back up with DeAndre Jordan down low, right? And those two guys were with the Clippers back then. I almost think that we're gonna see a Clippers remake of that dominant down low between those two coming in with just a whole new mindset for Blake Griffin. I think that was the main issue in Detroit. He just didn't have the mindset. They weren't winning, and he couldn't do what he needed to do. He was hurt all the time. So this could be a whole new team. As far as competing with the Lakers, I think it still bumps them up. I still think that they're right there with the Lakers. It's a shame you're not throwing the Jazz into play, but whatever. The freaking Lakers and the Nets, between those two, the Nets have maybe a small advantage right now with Davis still out. But, I think we're going to see a Blake Griffin reappearance, and the guy might actually return even dunking all of a sudden.
Yeah, well, he hasn't dunked in 2 years, but it's interesting that you bring up the Clippers because, if Anthony Davis doesn't come back 100%, it's actually possible that you could have a DeAndre Jordan and a Blake Griffin going up against their old team in the NBA Finals. I mean, how cool would that be? But I do want to point out the fact that the Nets, even after getting Blake Griffin, they are still in the mix for Andre Drummond. Believe it or not. And so
that's some depth right there.
That's a big time defender, a guy who's going to go get a bunch of rebounds. And apparently the Nets are still the front runner to acquire him. And so what I want to say right now is if that actually happens, I'm going to make a prediction on this show right now. If the Nets get Andre Drummond, this is game over, and I want you guys all out there to please stop watching the NBA because you're not going to care. I mean, this is game over. The Nets will take it to the bank. It's not going to be competitive. It's probably going to be a 5-game series. But we already know the Nets are coming out of the East no matter what, even if they get Andre Drummond or not. But if I'm telling you that Anthony Davis comes back at 100%, Tanner, do you even still think that the Lakers have a chance against the Nets? Because I'm telling you right now, even if AD is 100%, which I don't think he will be, they're not going to beat the Nets in a 7-game series.
Not with Andre Drummond there. This is really kind of disappointing to hear that Andre Drummond is the front runner to go to the Nets. Because not only do they have DeAndre, they have Blake Griffin. If they get Andre Drummond, and they got James Harden already this year. What wasn't the huge deal of Kevin Durant going outside of Golden State to get away from a big trio? Like it just hit me as you were talking about Andre Drummond going to play. Now you got a super team again, and it defeats the Kevin Durant purpose of can he carry the team. I know it's not our topic today, but it's just something that came through my mind is, you get Andre Drummond coming off the bench to fill in for DeAndre DeAndre or whoever. Or it doesn't matter, right? So you're not going to score down low. And now you're barely going to score up high with Harris, Durant, Harden, and Irving up there. Like, I don't know, dude. It defeats Durant's purpose of going to the Nets from leaving the Warriors to go to the Nets. Because he could have done this all with the Warriors still.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that you brought this up, that you're all of a sudden now we're complaining about super teams. Well, No.
Not complaining about super teams. I'm complaining that the fact that Kevin Durant left Golden State was to purposely get away from a super team to partner with one other player, a.k.a. Kyrie, to create a championship team outside of a super team. That was the main reason he left. And now we're just doing this again.
Well, we've had super teams for years, okay? So we can go back to the 1980s when it was the Lakers
70s,
and the Celtics.
80s, yeah. I mean,
every single year, both of those teams were super teams because they had a big three.
But they're all defeating Durant's mainly defeating his purpose. That's the only reason I'm saying. He's defeating what he talked about, the reason he went to the Nets 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that I'm looking at here is the fact that, the biggest question I can ask is Kevin Durant going to be 100%? Is Anthony Davis going to be 100%? I think that KD will be 100% because all he had was a hamstring injury, and the Nets are just being super cautious with him. I mean, that's not a serious injury at all. I think with AD, I think he's probably going to be at least 80%, but I do look at that calf injury a little bit differently than the hamstring injury of KD just because it's a little bit closer to that Achilles. So that bothers me a little bit more. But like I said, if AD is 100%, it's still not going to be a fair game. And when I look at the series right now, if you go to betmgm.com right now, they have that series, if it happens, as a pick'em. So both the Lakers and the Nets are plus 280 if you want to bet on it right now to win the championship.
So AD, I don't feel like he will be 100, like even 80%. So Mike, we know this from our Eric Berry days. Achilles injuries, despite any kind of Achilles injuries, it's a day-to-day deal, right?
Yeah, it's tough.
It's all about day-to-day.
They might not be back the same either. We saw, when it comes to ACL tears, it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, so
Achilles are a whole different ballgame.
So AD has been nursing not only a calf injury, but an Achilles injury as well, and it's been keeping him away. And it's not a tear, right? It's not nothing, nothing's been torn. It's still an injury, though, to be concerned about, especially with you're trying to rehab. So they need AD more than Kevin Durant right now to get that seed. But Kevin Durant has more of a chance to get healthy just for the fact that he now has multiple weapons on the team that can take care of the games.
Yeah, what do you think of the tweet? Did you guys see it from Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears? Did you guys see that tweet he made from yesterday?
No, I missed that.
Okay, he came out and he said, per his own sources, Andre Drummond will be signing with the Nets. They get some reinforcement on the defensive end and the glass. So that's according to Allen Robinson of the Bears. I mean, I don't know how well they know each other, but that came straight from him.
It's game over. I mean, it's like we're sitting here talking about Blake Griffin, and he's not even the number 4 option of the team. And honestly, do you want me to talk about the number 4 option on the Nets right now? No, you do not, because it's a guy by the name of Joe Harris, and he is the number 1 3-point shooter in the league. So Blake Griffin doesn't even have to be the number 4 option. He just had to play a little bit of defense, grab a couple rebounds. He's a really good passer. You know, be in the right place at the right time, because he's got the number 4 option on the Nets, Joe Harris, shooting 53% from the field and 50.6 from 3-point land. He is the number 1 3-point shooter in the league, averaging 15 points per game, 3.5 threes per game, and he's number 4 in the league in total 3-pointers. And so you put a guy like Joe Harris on a team with Kyrie and James Harden and Kevin Durant, can you guys even conceive of any team? Just take away LeBron and AD. We don't care about them. Any team. Can you picture a team throughout history, save the Golden State Warriors, with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry when they're fully healthy? Can you think of any team in history that would compete with a team like that when your number 4 option is the number 1 3-point shooter in the league?
No, I'm trying to think. I was thinking the Celtics, but nobody in the Celtics I could think of. Because who you when you're playing defense against these guys, you can't double team him because you're just going to go to the next option, and that next option isn't some scrub, bum. You're not going to scrub bum. No, they're going to pass it over to Blake Griffin, who could potentially come back to its Clippers form, and then he's all of a sudden a superstar again, right? It's amazing the fact that you don't have a guy that you have to worry about on the Nets, that as a Nets player, you're like, oh, well, hey, if I'm double teamed, well, I'll just go to you. It doesn't matter who you are, but I'm going to you.
Right, and that's a great point. Nobody's going to be able to guard that team defensively. On the flip side, the biggest complaint when the Nets made the big 3 was the fact that, they can't play defense. Can't play defense. Well, what's going to happen? Now they have Andre Drummond. What does he do best? Play defense and get rebounds. So, I mean, this is the end of the season, guys. If that deal happens with Andre Drummond, if they somehow acquire him, the season is over. You guys can all stop watching NBA games. I'm not going to quit because I'm an NBA connoisseur. That's what I do best. I love the NBA. I'll never stop watching it. But the rest of you guys out there, just please stop watching because the season will be over. And there's no point in watching because the Nets will be a heavy favorite once they acquire Andre Drummond. And right now, it's kind of a pick 'em. But if I could make a bet right now, I'm going Nets all the way. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only team. You're not going to go, like, if you're Andre Drummond, you're not going to go to a non-contender, period. So, Nets are probably his best choice. It'd be great. If LeBron, you can get some help, but it doesn't sound like people want to head that way. So.
Well, LeBron is the GOAT, so he doesn't have to win any more championships, right, guys? He's already proved himself. He is the undisputed GOAT in NBA history. He's got 4 championships. So, I mean...
I sense a little sarcasm there in your tone, Jason.
No, dude. He's a GOAT. I mean...
Is this your own virtue? Are you virtue signaling right now for LeBron?
No, don't argue with me. He is the GOAT. He doesn't have anything else to prove. He's got 4 rings. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if the Nets win this year. Just let him have it. Give it over to him.
That is funny. You're confusing the audience from some of your previous takes, Jason, on this whole thing.
Well, that's why you have to listen to all of the show.
All of them. So that way you know the backstory.
Perspective on this show.
Exactly. I agree with that completely. But you guys, there's a couple teams at least still you think that could give them a fight. I mean, I think the Suns still look great. I think the Jazz, even though with 2 games losing in a row, and the 76ers, any of those teams have any shot against the Nets?
I think the 76ers right now have the best chance against the Nets. Embiid, Simmons alone just have that dual front. But then again, you need Embiid to be playing that MVP for him. So It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for every single team left in the league.
No, I disagree with you. The Sixers do not have the best chance. The best chance would be the Utah Jazz. If the Jazz could beat the Lakers and somehow meet the Nets
now
in
we're
the finals.
respecting the Jazz?
No, we've talked about it on this show before, is the fact that defense wins championships. So the Utah Jazz, if we're comparing them to the Lakers, if AD is not at 100%, the Jazz are the best defensive team in the Western Conference. So in theory, they would have the best chance to take down the Nets, but we all know that's a joke. I'm just saying, who has the best chance? Nobody has the best chance because they're all going to get their ass kicked.
Especially with you have 6 starters already on the team, or 6 or 7. 7 starters if Andre Drummond comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're 7 starters deep. Like, what are you gonna do?
You got Blake Griffin.
What are you gonna do?
You got Blake Griffin, who used to jump over cars, coming off the bench.
And he might be able to. He only played 18 last year.
I'm pretty sure the Lakers are shit out of luck. Up shit creek without a paddle and a barbed wire canoe.
I don't think it's just the Lakers either. Everybody.
Well, Tanner, I got something else for you here to jump away from the NBA for just a few moments. We will let JG jump back into that, though, here towards the end of the show. But I have a little game I want to play one more time with you guys. And this time it's going to be like a little Match.com kind of style this time. So with free agency coming up starting here on March 17th at, I think it's 3 p.m. Central Time, we do have a good list of guys that are going to be available for teams to pick up. And I think more than anything for each of these guys, it's the best fit of what matches them and what's going to help them and their careers going forward. I actually think this year, more than anything, you will see shorter-term contracts more than ever before due to the cap number being lowered by, what would that percentage be? Something like, was it 8% lowered down from where it was previously of last year?
Right around 8.
And so that's a big jump down. So I could see you guys want to just sign more short term, so that way here in the next couple of years when things are more balanced out again, they are good to go. So with that said, I'm going to name off some guys for you, and then I want you to give me, from your opinion, the best team fit. I'll give you mine to start off with this one. So we're going to go with Shaq Barrett, the DN from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is 26 years old. He is, we thought for a minute, maybe a one-year wonder. He had 19.5 sacks in 2019, and then this past year during the Super Bowl run, he's 28 years old, but he had 8 sacks this past year. So we went from, quite a bit of a jump down, but he still has a lot left in him, I think. My personal fit for him, I think the Bengals would be great because they need a pass rusher. They had 17 sacks in 2020, which is extremely low. So I think adding someone like him will help add to their arsenal of getting a pass rush and hopefully help out the youth of Joe Burrow of winning games and being successful over there in the AFC North. So Shaq Barrett, Tanner, what's your first thought where he should end up?
I honestly think he'll go back to Tampa.
Just
he'll
stay
figure
put?
it out. Yeah,
Okay.
I think he'll figure it out and stay put. But I'll give you my if Tampa doesn't work out team. I think he'll go to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
As a building piece for Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
The guy's an elite linebacker.
Yannick Ngakoue is gone from the Jaguars, obviously, so
Correct.
he's an easy free agent as well.
Yeah.
So Barrett could stay in Florida.
Barrett could stay there, but he could go to the building piece of Urban Meyer and kind of contribute towards that. Because they got a lot of cap, which means a lot of money.
Yeah, when I look at Shaq Barrett, I mean, I hope you're right. I hope he does go to the Bengals. That would be my dream come true because I sure as hell do not want to see him back on the Bucs. Apparently, the Bucs are the front runner to re-sign him, and why not? I mean, they just beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So, how much does Tom Brady have left in the tank?
That's the
Do you
question,
think they
man.
don't want to put Shaq Barrett back on that team for one more year to make it happen again? So, I think if the Bucs can give him what he wants, I think he needs to go back to the Bucs. But my number 2 team, I think, would be the Tennessee Titans because the Titans, they always want to spend money on their running game and their defense. Mm-hmm. And so that would be my number 2 team for Shaq Barrett. But God, as a Chiefs fan, I hope to God he doesn't go back to the Bucs because I don't want to see that shit again in the Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, I'd rather that defense become slowly diminished than keep anybody around. After that, for you guys, I got a really surprise here. A guy who was not franchise tagged. In my opinion, I was surprised Aaron Jones was not kept by the Green Bay Packers. He is going to be a free agent here on March 17th. He's 26 years old. My personal fit for him is the Miami Dolphins because they averaged 3.9 yards per carry on the ground this past year, which was almost dead to last for the entire NFL on a yards per carry basis. And it was with Tua Tagovailoa and with the things they got going on for the future, you need to have a good running game for him to succeed, in my opinion. I think that's a good fit for Aaron Jones to be successful, as well as help Tua continue on his path.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Miami. I think I was actually talking about Aaron Jones about a month ago with my, I guess, former boss at Academy, and we were talking Seattle. So Chris Carson's gone.
Yeah.
They can't keep a healthy running back, so why not add a guy that has proven history of staying healthy?
Mm-hmm.
And that would maybe help the relationship building between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks right now. So my pick would be Seattle.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I agree with Mike here on this one. When you look at a guy like Aaron Jones, I mean, my number one pick for him would be the Miami Dolphins because the Dolphins, they just need to establish a running game around Tua. And recently, their running backs have fucking sucked. So
Yeah.
I would say the number one team would be the Dolphins. And number two, I'd have to go with the Washington football team because they have cap space. I like the potential to have a 1-2 punch with Antonio Gibson. And they would also like to keep Antonio Gibson fresh for the long haul. And so I think the Washington football team could be the favorite to win the division if they can find a decent quarterback.
They do.
But if you get that 1-2 punch at running back and then you find a decent quarterback, and I'm going to, this is a different topic, but I'm going to say Teddy Bridgewater or Cam Newton. That I think that the Washington football team would be a great place for Aaron Jones.
Do you really think Aaron Jones is going to go pick a place where he has to share carries?
No, I think they're going to pay his ass.
No, I don't.
They're going to pay his ass.
I think his outside of just money, right? He's going to go for money, obviously, because that's what you do as a running back. But I think the guy also wants to make sure he gets his carries, right? And you're not gonna go after a rookie that performed the way he did last year, and be like, I want to split carry. No,
and I'll put it this way: Aaron Jones is slated to get approximately $11 million a year as a running back. That's a pretty hefty price
for a big running back.
For a running back. So that's going to be expect him to be your every down back.
Yeah, I just don't like that is an interesting situation though, because Washington is on the rebound, right, for that. So that would be a good piece of the offense. But I just don't see Aaron Jones being one of those players that accepts a big contract and is okay with splitting reps. Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he gives a shit. I just think he wants that big contract. Too. And I mean, I think you look at from Washington football team's perspective. I mean, just load up. I mean, what's your ceiling? You're going to win your division, which they probably will anyway. But I mean, just load up and win that division.
Guys, I got some Washington to talk about here in a few picks from now. But our next guy on the list is Kenny Galladay at 27 years old, so still in his prime. And I like the fit of him replacing T.Y. Hilton in Indianapolis and giving Carson Wentz a big-bodied receiver. And so they need to have somebody over there. Obviously, they have Michael Pittman Jr. I love him as a prospect, as an athlete. He's great. But I think Kenny Galladay gives Carson Wentz a legitimate option as a number one receiver to throw to because he's going to need one. Wentz is going to need help over there for sure. He's going to be trying to rebound his own career and get better back on track. So for Kenny Galladay, what's your pick for him? Where should he end up at?
My two picks here. So actually, I like ESPN's pick here with the Ravens. But I think I'm going to go lean towards more of the Giants. I can see Kenny Galladay getting on with Joe Judge over there and signing on with a big deal for the Giants.
All right, so I'm going to turn this into a trash Kenny Galladay segment because he was on my fantasy team last year.
You were disappointed.
Very disappointed in him, and the guy sucks, okay?
Kenny
because
Galladay.
He's injured all the time. So my pick, my number one and my only pick for Kenny Galladay is that he goes to the New York Jets because, Sam Darnold needs a big target. Or it may not even be Sam Darnold.
Trevor Lawrence, you mean, needs a big target.
Whoever the fucking quarterback is, nobody gives a shit. They're going to need a big target. So I want to send Kenny Galladay to the Jets because Galladay is a big name that they can bring in. And if he gets injured, who cares? Because it's the Jets. So
yeah, pay him the money.
Fuck him.
He'll love money right now. The Jets will pay up. If he goes to the Jets, he doesn't care about winning. And we know that's a fact.
Jason, are you a little butthurt on Galladay?
I'm not butthurt.
Because you were for him pretty much the whole entire season.
I can say it's a fantasy take, but I'm saying this from an NFL perspective as well, because you don't want to draft or you don't want to trade for or pick up in free agency an injured bum. So that's a term that the three of us use a lot when we talk about injured bums.
Like Sammy Watkins.
That could be in football, basketball. I don't care what sport you want to talk about. I do not want an injured bum on my NFL team.
Yep.
And to me, that's what Kenny Galladay is. And so he's got to prove himself before I'm going to bring him on to a contender. And that's why I want him on the New York Jets.
So it's kind of funny, too, right? So now you got to remember, too, he was with Stafford. So now he's downgrading quarterbacks, most likely, outside of, a small handful if he doesn't sign anywhere. So, yeah, you're looking at a downgrade because Stafford was still one of the high mid-tier guys. So,
I mean, like I said, he's a big target. And if all these guys stay healthy, I mean, it could be a good fit with him and Sam Darnold or Trevor Lawrence or whoever the hell you want to throw in there.
All right, let's talk about one more injured bum real quick. And that is a guy over there who wanted to get the hell out of Houston once again. But Will Fuller at 27 years old, a deep threat. My only problem with Will Fuller is if you read his profile on Match, does not handle balls well again either. He and D-Rob might as well be the same ball handlers. So the guy has a big case of the dropsies. He's also always injured. So I'm not a big fan of him as far as that goes. But let's put it this way. If you need a deep threat that's going to go deep on you every once in a while when you really need it to get pounded out, then we're going to go Will Fuller to the Patriots.
Wow.
That is my pick for Will Fuller because they need weapons. They need someone that can go vertical.
So before I give my take on this, Mike, are you saying that Bill Belichick would like a receiver with small hands?
Yeah,
I'm not buying that for a second.
He needs anything right now because that team does not have talent whatsoever across the board offensively. And so Will Fuller is better than nothing. So I think he's going to go Will Fuller, and whoever the quarterback is in New England, they'll take whatever they can get at this point.
All right, very interesting take there. I am going to go with the Colts. I think the Indianapolis Colts are the number one destination for Will Fuller because the Colts are already a good team. They've got a great O-line, great defense. All they need is a little bit of help at wide receiver. So my idea is to pair an injury-prone wide receiver with an injury-prone quarterback. And so, seriously, if these two guys, Carson Wentz and Will Fuller, if they were on the same team, if they could stay healthy on the same team, which is a long shot, they'll never stay healthy, then the Colts could actually compete with anybody in the NFL except for the Chiefs.
Interesting take. Colts, too. Yeah, I could see Colts making a lot of moves, though, regardless. So ESPN has them going to the Packers, but can we honestly sit here and tell each other in the face that the Packers are actually going to spend money and try to go build something for Aaron?
No, because he's been begging for that for years.
Yeah,
and they always disappoint
Why
him.
would I do it now? So I believe Will Fuller will actually end up being a Las Vegas Raider. This is a Mike Mayock move all over it and a John Gruden move to really get that receiver for Derek Carr.
Okay, So if you think that that's a Mike Mayock move, do you think that he's going to be paired with Deshaun Watson?
No. I already told you Deshaun's staying in Houston. He's not going to play, but he'll still be in Houston.
Oh, he's going to sit on the bench like Le'Veon Bell for 9 weeks?
He's going to pull the Le'Veon Bell, but be in a better situation after that.
Well, at least he's going to save his body some hits because if he sits on the bench, he's not going to get injured like he would in a game with that awful offensive line they have in Houston. But we're going to save that topic here for down the road of our rest of our show here. We have another few minutes left, obviously, but I want to hit on a couple more guys before we wrap up our free agency talk real quick. I have a couple I want to pair together. So I'm going to go 2 for 1 on this selection right here. I want Juju Smith-Schuster and Cam Newton paired for the Washington football team. I want to put Cam and Juju together and revive Juju's career and revive Cam's career, as well as that running game and that running back we've been talking about. I like the pair. I like that idea. I think it's going to be a great fit for reviving Juju, and as well as give Cam Newton a chance once again to show he's still capable of being a quality quarterback in the league.
Yeah, that's an intriguing idea, but I'm going to have to go with my number one pick is Juju to the New England Patriots because Julian Edelman is 34 years old, and New England is desperate to find offensive weapons, and they've got cap space right now for Juju Smith-Schuster, so I'm going to go with New England.
So are you saying that there's another Cam Newton Juju experiment coming up again in New England? Or, I mean, first off, you said Juju New England, and immediately think, like, is Bill Belichick really going to take in this TikTok guy and deal with all his antics in New England? But he took in Cam Newton, so anything's possible, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, I'm going to let Mike answer that question because Cam Newton is actually the next player on the list. So I'm not going to give you my answer for Cam Newton.
So if I had to do the combo, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question was about a combo here. That's a good question.
I was just going my back-to-back because both those guys are going to the same spot in my book.
Great. Then I feel the exact same way. Just because of their attitudes, the way they present themselves, and they like to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you like to have fun, you got to go somewhere that's not Bill Belichick.
Right. I think so too.
Everybody thinks he's great.
True.
He is great. I'm sure he's a freaking great guy too in person. But you're not going there to do all that antics. Man, I didn't expect the combo question is my only issue.
Well, you don't need to have both of them go to the same place. Just anything's fine.
No, they're not going to the same place, but we'll say
You don't
that
think
for
they're
the
going
next
to the same
player.
place?
No.
All right, Sanders, give me a pick. We got another 4 guys to go.
Where's Juju going?
Where's Juju going? Where are they going? Man, they all suck. So we're gonna go.
Just put them on the Chiefs and get it over with, right?
No, they're gonna go to the freaking New York Jets, dude.
Okay. There's your pick. Both of them to the Jets?
Both of them to the Jets.
Okay, so basically, Juju Smith-Schuster,
that's what the Jets are.
His career is ruined. Tanner, you heard it here first.
It's done.
All right, after that, I got a guy for you guys. Real quick on this one, just because it's funny. He's 37 years old. Ryan Fitzmagic. He's going to keep playing, of course. Why would he stop? I think Ryan going to the Bears would be great. He'd come in, win a few games. Why not?
I think he's one of the Eagles.
Eagles to be a backup, obviously, to Jalen Hurts.
To be the backup to fill in for Jalen Hurts.
Okay. What do you think, Jason?
No, fuck no. He's going to the Broncos because you need somebody out there to compete with Drew Lock at camp. And I heard somebody say over the weekend that Denver could actually get to a wild card game with Fitzmagic as the starter. I was like, dude, what world are you living in? This guy was clearly high when he said that. But Ryan Fitzmagic is going on 39 years old, and he is about to be washed. He's probably washed a long time ago. But there's no way in hell that this guy, Ryan Fitzmagic, is going to make a wild card game as a starter. But I could see the Broncos trying to put Fitzmagic in there as far as like a little bit of competition for Drew Lock.
I don't know. Like, do you think that would be good for Drew Lock, Mike?
Sure, why not? Have a veteran in there, a guy like him. That makes sense. I think they actually get along great. I think they would have parties and gosh knows what else going on over there. But the beard and then Drew Lock, who formerly dated the owner's daughter of the Kansas City Chiefs, so Gracie Hunt. So that was a thing for
Miss Kansas, right?
Is that what those was said?
I think that's what she's going after.
Interesting.
Miss
Okay.
Kansas.
She might win.
Yeah.
She might get it done. I don't know. So I was reading up on Bill Belichick's profile a little bit ago on Match.com, and I saw that he likes tight ends. And so when I saw he likes tight ends, I mean, I felt the same way. I know where that comes from. So he and I have a lot in common in that regard. But I had to go with Hunter Henry to the Patriots. That is my selection for where Hunter Henry ends up. I think Belichick's going to go hard for those tight ends, just as I would.
Man, you got some weird dating sites you look at. Dallas Cowboys is where this guy's going. I don't know. It just seems like it fits into Jason Witten style there. It's a nice compliment for Dak Prescott. As long as Hunter Henry can stay healthy.
No, fuck that bullshit. Hunter Henry's going to the Chiefs. He is going to back up the great Travis Kelce, only because we need more tight ends on our local team.
But can we get healthy guys? Can we get a guy that's going to be there? You know,
I would love to have Hunter Henry on the team. And the thing is, like, the backups ever since Kelce came along have been trash and bums. And so having Hunter Henry be awesome, I just don't know where the money's going to come from to add more to the offense at that position. If you do that, you almost have to not pick up a receiver but draft one instead. And so that'd be fine. I would not mind that. I think Hunter Henry is a guy who, if Kelce for any reason did get injured at some point, could step in and still be productive. Whereas guys like Nick Keiser of the world and every other bum that's been after Travis Kelce in the years would not do shit for the Chiefs offense. So keep that in mind.
But how would you compare that? If we could somehow make that happen, would you compare that to Rob Gronkowski when he had Aaron Hernandez as a dual tight end?
Yeah, pretty similar, I think. That makes sense. Hunter Henry's always kind of underachieved a little bit, but partially due to those injuries that he's had in the past. But if you're a backup tight end, you're also not in the field quite as much. You're playing less than half the time of what a normal guy would be playing. So be healthy. But then again, like we're talking about, he's a true, to me, starting caliber tight end. He's going to want to get paid that way.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to pick him up, he also needs to be on the field quite a bit. Use him for what he's worth. And the Chiefs love to go four wide all the time.
But can the guy stay healthy, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, I like Hunter Henry, but I don't think he's a good fit for the Chiefs. Is my only thing, because of the money.
Yeah.
That's it. If I was playing Madden, then hell yeah, let's do that.
We are playing Madden.
We're playing a little bit of match Madden. I got a couple more guys for you guys, just because I love me some Justin Houston, and I've always loved his tenure in Kansas City. He's 32 years old. Just finished up with the Colts, an undrafted free agent once again, and I like him coming back to the Chiefs. I actually like that as an addition to the Chiefs. Him coming back at 32 and helping out at certain times as a third down pass rusher for cheap, because we already paid his ass $100 million one time, and we saw how that turned out after he put up 22 sacks in one season. So the Chiefs ended up kind of getting gypped at the end of that deal because of his injury history. But if you use him in third down pass rush situations only, on a cheap deal, I would love that.
Oh, yeah, dude, I would love it. I mean, we all know that the Chiefs need a pass rusher, but he's going to have to take a little bit of a pay cut, I think, to make that happen. He's 32 years old. I think he's got something left in the tank, so, I mean, I would love to see that happen because, I mean, as a 32-year-old, I mean, he'd probably want to sack Tom Brady a few times, wouldn't he?
Yeah, man. I really wouldn't mind seeing a Justin Houston sighting again in KC. But my strong instincts with the way he plays, his mentality, I think he goes back to the Colts and continues to help mature that defense. That defense is so young, but they're so hard-working right now. They just have a lot of good guys there, too. I see Justin Houston going back on a shorter, smaller deal, just because the way he is, why we liked him in the first place, right? Hardworking, wants to get at it. I see him going back to that team that he built a connection with the Colts defense, and I can see him back there next year.
I mean, how can you not like Justin Houston? I mean, he's a big baller. He started every single game for the Colts.
Yeah.
On his contract, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually a productive part of that team during his time there. Now, is he as good as he was when he was 25? No. He was still productive, though, and doing a good job over there for what he was worth, I think, for the Colts. So I like Justin Houston. I would love to see him come back to KC for one more year.
I wouldn't mind it at all.
See, if he wants to win a ring, that might be the best thing to do. I got one more for you guys before we move on, but we got T.Y. Hilton at 31 years old. He's a free agent, and I think he still has a lot left in him, actually. I like the New York Jets with Trevor Lawrence as his quarterback. That's my pick for T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with you on that. I do like him going to the Jets just because, I mean, he's got something left in the tank, but at the same time, he hasn't really shown as a superstar in the league. Like, I think we all thought that he was going to be a superstar before, but he hasn't really done shit recently, so... I mean, I think I like him going to the Jets and throw him in there with Galladay. Fuck him.
What do you got, Tanner?
Dude, you are butthurt about Galladay. I could see him going to Green Bay, guys. I could see T.Y. in Green Bay. He excelled with Andrew Luck. He excelled with a pocket passer quarterback. Andrew Luck again. Aaron Rodgers is your pocket guy who can make things happen, and I think he'd be a great compliment to Devontae Adams there on the other side.
Very intriguing, Tanner.
Yeah.
I like that pick.
Well, okay, with all that said, you guys, was there any surprises you thought over the weekend of guys who were not franchise tagged or maybe were that you were surprised about? I have one. My one is Trey Hendrickson, the DN for the Saints. The guy put up 13.5 sacks last year.
We talked about
him. He destroyed Eric Fisher.
He was a Pro Bowl guy.
Oh, well, Hendrickson's amazing. The guy is a solid player. Has no business being a free agent. Whoever picks him up is going to get a stellar player. Like I said, he destroyed Eric Fisher when the Chiefs played the Saints this past season, and I'm surprised they didn't keep him. So any surprises for you one way or the other, Tanner?
No, I didn't have any surprises by any means.
Were you surprised by Godwin over Barrett at all for the Buccaneers?
No, I expected Godwin to be back on that.
I did too.
It was kind of in what I expected. If I had to make a surprise that was tagged, would have been Allen Robinson.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't expect him to be tagged in the end, so that was actually a surprise on my end.
Yeah. Anything, Jason, for that one? None.
Yeah, I'm good.
Done with the franchise
I
tags.
wish they would just do away with the franchise tag. I think it's bullshit.
Well, did you guys at least see over the weekend our guy, Mr. Dak Prescott, got himself a big mega deal finally?
Congrats,
It's
baby.
been in the talks for a while.
You finally got it, man.
Was it 4 years, $160-something million, correct?
164, I thought.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds right to me. $66 million guaranteed
Yeah.
on that deal,
Ridiculous.
or at least on the signing bonus. I think
Signing
it's actually
bonus.
the biggest signing bonus of all time.
Yes. So
In the
it's
NFL
most
history.
NFL.
Mhm.
What was it? It was the guaranteed money was right behind Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's a huge deal.
yeah, so he's happy. Obviously, I don't know what the Cowboys are going to do anyway, unless they got a guy like Deshaun Watson. But Jason, what are your thoughts in general on Dak Prescott in that new deal?
Oh my gosh, my first thought when I look at this deal is like when you look at the average per year, he's making $3 million less per year than Patrick Mahomes. And so they've got high expectations for this guy. But I mean, when you look at Dak from a numbers perspective, I mean, he's proven himself. He's not been a guy who you look at and say, oh, he's going to take over a game like Patrick Mahomes and a few other quarterbacks out there. But, you know, I look at the general manager, Jerry Jones. He doesn't care about that. He just wants a guy that's going to put up numbers, say the right things in front of the microphone. And so, you know, give me a guy, you know, you look at a general manager like Jerry Jones. He just wants a guy that's dedicated to the Dallas Cowboys. Doesn't care if he's an elite quarterback. He just wants a guy that's dedicated, and Jerry Jones is going to pay his ass. I mean, Jerry Jones has proven that over the years. And so, you know, you look at Dak Prescott, I look at that devastating injury, and I listened to the interview today with Dak Prescott, and I was very intrigued by that because, you know, Dak Prescott, he gave credit to Alex Smith, who was a player that went before him, who had a devastating injury, which was much more severe than Dak Prescott's. And he said something along the lines of, you know, this is a guy that went before me, had a more severe injury. And Dak Prescott basically said, okay, I'll look at a guy like Alex Smith and, you know, I can do this. I can come back from this injury and it's going to be no problem. And so it's a very inspiring story, I think, with Dak Prescott. And I'm going to use kind of an NBA reference here because I look at a guy like Paul Pierce. And Paul Pierce, a lot of you guys don't remember this, but back in September of 2000, Paul Pierce got stabbed in the face and the neck and the back, which, you know, you would say that's a devastating injury. And his first 2 years in the NBA, he didn't really do a whole lot. He averaged 16 points a game, 19 points a game. But then after that horrific injury that he got, I mean, he just turned into a superstar. He started averaging 26 points per game. He got a championship in 2008. And so I think this is a scenario where you look at a guy like Dak Prescott. I think this might be a moment in his life and in his career where he could turn it around. And we've always known Dak Prescott to put up numbers, but this might be the moment, the turning point in his career where he says, yes, I am going to be that guy that can take over a game. Maybe not to the extent of a guy like Patrick Mahomes, but maybe more along the lines of a guy like Russell Wilson, and maybe he can win a Super Bowl at some point in his career.
Yeah, you guys realize that Dak Prescott's numbers, TD to interception ratio, is actually not really that bad at all.
Oh, I know, it's great. He takes care of the ball very well.
Like the guy,
he's not a turnover guy.
Performed. So last year, right before his injury, the whole reason the Dallas Cowboys were where they were at was due to Dak, right? And you remember that defense was a struggle. We always talked about it. And it really became a struggle as the season went on when Dalton took over. And I can't remember the other guy's name, the funny name. So, but Dak, man, I'm so happy to see his deal happen. I follow the guy from Mississippi State here, and I'm just happy to see it finally happen and put to rest these stupid Russell Wilson trade rumors to the Cowboys, because nobody's going to the Cowboys. Okay, it's a Dak team. And props to Dak for sticking it out for freaking 3 years. trying to get a deal done. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you know how hard that is as a professional player that performs the way he does to not just say, I want to pull what Deshaun's doing right now and say, I'm not playing on that tag. I'll forfeit my money and go elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we look at as sports fans, no matter what sport you're looking at, is we look for inspiring stories. And you're looking at a guy like Dak Prescott right now. He's going through a horrific injury. We compared it to Alex Smith, but Alex Smith is much older than Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott has a chance to really boost his career moving forward. And I think the ceiling is just amazing for Dak Prescott.
And he's got a running back, right? And hopefully an offensive line that's starting to get healthy after last year. So there could be a lot of upside for Dallas, which could mean another Dallas playoff game. But that's for time to tell later.
Yeah, I think that's a team in general that does underperform year in, year out. They find ways to lose games somehow. And this past year was just god-awful. I mean, obviously the injury occurred, but then it was just a disaster all the way through the whole thing. So I do hope that Dak himself, because I do like him as a player, and so far from everything I've seen as a person too, I hope that things do turn out well for him going forward in the future, and he eventually, can compete in the NFC Championship, compete possibly to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl one day. Would be very cool. Because otherwise, I don't know what the Cowboys are planning on doing. They had to do something at quarterback. They couldn't just let him go.
Dalton's a free agent, so you can't.
Yeah, get Andy Dalton.
You got to go back after Dalton then, right?
No, Andy Dalton's awful. So.
Well, the thing about the Cowboys is like Jerry Jones doesn't care. He wants to pay the guys that are loyal to him and who play the part. They say the right things and they put up numbers, and that's what it was when he gave Dak Prescott that contract. That's entirely what it was about. It's like, okay, you've put up your numbers. You've shown me that you're going to say the right things and play the part as a Dallas Cowboy. And so hopefully, I would like to see Dak Prescott push the Dallas Cowboys into at least an NFC championship, if nothing else.
It's just a disappointment it took this long.
Yeah. I have one more guy to talk about for the NFL, and then we are done with that part anyway. But if you guys had to pick one team where you want to see Deshaun Watson end up at, what would be your choice for the sake of his career? Because I have someone, or a team in particular, I think that could be successful with him that makes sense too. What do you guys think about Watson? What would be one team to pick?
Well, you guys already know my answer because I think I've already said it 3 times on this show. So
right.
my dream scenario would be for Deshaun Watson to go to the Raiders because I want to see another elite quarterback in the AFC West. And, Deshaun Watson put up 4,823 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And if the Raiders bring him in, you look at a coach like John Gruden. In my opinion, he's got nothing to prove. John Gruden's got that big contract. He's got all the money. He's already won a Super Bowl in his career. And so my message to John Gruden would be, go ahead and take the risk because Deshaun Watson is a guy that is fully motivated. He was drafted the same year as Patrick Mahomes. If you put him in the same division as Mahomes, you look at a guy like Derek Carr, the current Raiders quarterback. They already beat the Chiefs last year. They almost beat them twice. So how much more motivated do you think Deshaun Watson would be if he could go to the Raiders and try to get the Raiders over the hump?
Try to get himself over the hump, right? So, Mike, real quick here, just clarify. You're not talking about like current openings or anything. You're just talking about as a team in general.
What's his best fit that's also realistic?
Realistic. All right, Saints. Saints is his realistic destination.
It would be an ideal fit too.
It would be a great fit.
It would still be successful. Absolutely, I could see that being a good work for that team. Yeah, I like that a lot. For me, I was going to say the Denver Broncos, as I think I don't know if they really believe in Drew Lock. I don't know if they know if he has what it takes, but they do know what Deshaun Watson's made of.
So my long shot destination, like this is a really long shot, especially after this weekend. Minnesota Vikings would be great with Justin Jefferson on that side. Him and Justin Jefferson become the new DeAndre possibly.
So right? What, you trade away Cousins? Is that what goes on there?
Yeah, you get rid of Cousins.
So you send Cousins to Houston, end his career basically, and then Watson would be starting there. So.
But yeah, no, like that's my destination is to pair him up with somebody like Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. I think that would be a totally great offense on that part.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out because I do hope he moves on to go somewhere else because he's a guy that if you put him on the right team, you want to watch him every Sunday.
Yeah,
You
you
see
do.
him in Houston, it's like you don't really want to watch it because it's going to be kind of ugly, just because they don't have an O-line. Their talent around him at this point, especially Will Fuller's gone, so who cares, you know? They have nothing left at this point. Everyone doesn't want to be there. J.J. Watt is now in Arizona, and obviously his number one favorite target he's ever had was DeAndre Hopkins, is also in Arizona. So it's like the guy doesn't want to be there. He sees the trajectory of the organization just going further and further down, and I don't see it anytime soon getting better. So I just hope he goes somewhere with a team that has a plan in place. Are you fumbling your papers over there, Jason JG? Because
He's fine.
we've been over here having a few sips of some things. I've got a coffee and cream. It's a vodka coffee drink, so get a little caffeine with your vodka. It's actually really good. What are you drinking over there? What are you fumbling around with?
Nah, I'm gonna stick with the Crown Vanilla, Crown and Coke with vanilla because it's pretty cheap compared to a lot of other things.
Yeah, no, I just stole out of Mike's fridge today, and I got me a Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer Peach Pear, and then my previous was a Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, the strawberry version.
Tanner's getting fruity today. Let's see how it is today.
I'm working to keep things light, guys. Keeping things light.
All right, Jason, wrap us up with your NBA to finish us off.
No, I just want to touch on the NBA MVP talk discussion here just for a minute. So it's official that Joel Embiid has officially overtaken the great LeBron James. I said it earlier on the show. He is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. So Joel Embiid overtook LeBron James as the MVP favorite. You look at the odds on MGM. You've got Joel Embiid as plus 200, LeBron James plus 250, and Nikola Jokic plus 450. And when I compare the three of them guys, I'm looking at Joel Embiid and LeBron James. They both have essentially the same record on their team. The only difference is Joel Embiid is in first place in the Eastern Conference. LeBron James is third. So they would be the number 3 seed, the Lakers, right now if they started the playoffs. And Nikola Jokic, the Denver Nuggets, would be the number 6 seed. So I just wanted to kind of get you guys' take on this because I kind of, if I had to bet on it right now, I would go with Joel Embiid, but I want to know if you guys think that LeBron has a chance to kind of come back in that MVP race.
LeBron has a really good chance. So, in case you haven't been paying attention the last few years, guys, Joel Embiid, when he gets towards the end of the year, usually gets this thing called the injury bug and then starts sitting out games. So that is something to watch for. And if the guy continues out and actually plays, yeah, he will probably win this thing. But past years have shown Joel Embiid towards the end of the year, things start hitting and he ends up sitting out enough that where it does affect his MVP decision.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to counter that is the fact that this is a regular season award. So LeBron James, I mean, if you take into account that Anthony Davis is on the shelf right now, LeBron James is not really worried about stats right now. Like, he's got to try to do whatever he can to save his body for the playoffs. And so LeBron doesn't really care about the regular season. And so the MVP is a regular season award. And so if Embiid can somehow get lucky this year, and a lot of players eventually, even if after they're injury prone, sometimes they get lucky, they stay healthy for a full year. I mean, they're going to give the MVP award to Joel Embiid just because, I mean, they know he has no fucking chance of winning a ring this year. So, I mean, fucking give him the MVP.
It's not a feel sorry award. For the guy. It's not a feel sorry award.
But you know he's going to win it.
I think.
When's the last time LeBron won the NBA MVP?
No.
It's been light years.
I don't think it'll be LeBron, though. I think in the end it's going to be Jokic.
Jokic?
Yeah.
So you think they're going to give it to a white guy all of a sudden?
Yeah, I'm going to give it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so
you're going to have LeBron who's going to be saving his body, right? And so he's not going to be playing as much. Joel Embiid's going to get hurt towards the end of the year because that's what he always does. So you got Nikola just sitting there balling out. So why not? Why would he be in the loop?
Just to be clear, when you talk about the NBA MVP, the definition
regular season
the definition of an NBA MVP is the best player on the best team. So when you're sitting there looking at a team like the Denver Nuggets, who are currently the number 6 seed, and you've got a team like the Utah Jazz, who are the number 1 seed, why would you not put Donovan Mitchell as the front runner ahead of a guy like Nikola Jokic? Because Nikola Jokic didn't do anything. They're 21-15. I mean, Joel Embiid and LeBron James's team, they've only lost 12 games.
I think that's a broken definition, by the way, of an NBA MVP.
Mm-hmm.
NBA MVP should be the best player in the league,
And
despite the record.
I'm not saying I disagree with you.
I'm just telling you.
I'm not telling you what the definition should be. I'm telling you what the definition is.
It's
the best player on the best team.
It's like the NFL, right? Are the Ravens as good without Lamar Jackson playing? No, you're not. Are you good without Patrick Mahomes? No. Is the Denver Nuggets actually even in the playoffs talk without Jokic?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying when you look at these guys,
look at it that way.
Guys, to be honest, I was joking. So when we're talking about European players versus American players, it doesn't really matter. When I'm looking at a guy like Nikola Jokic, Denver Nuggets, number 6 seed, and you can even throw Luka Doncic in there, who's another great European player, but his team's not doing shit.
No.
So you have to be a great player. You have to be a superstar. You have to be on one of the best teams in the league.
I just don't feel like
and so
that
that's why Luka Doncic, I mean, nobody even cares. He's like the number 4 or the number 5 guy in the odds.
Yeah, he's number 4
to win the MVP.
He's
and
at
so
1,300.
To me, it's an argument between Embiid and LeBron James and Jokic. Unless he can do something to get his team in the running, or unless Luka Doncic can do something to get the Mavericks into the running, which is not going to happen. I mean, he's not even first place in his division. The Spurs are currently ahead of the Mavericks. I mean, they have no shot to win the MVP, and so that's why I think it's an argument between Joel Embiid, LeBron James. Mike, who you got at the end of the season?
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be LeBron James because it makes the most sense for what's going on there. And I kind of disagree a little bit with both of you on how to define MVP. I lean more towards kind of the middle of the two things there, where you guys know with baseball, they have the stat called WAR, wins above replacement. Yeah. And I look at the MVP in that regard to where I'm like, okay, if you take away guys like Lamar Jackson from the Ravens and put in a replacement of an average player, how many wins less do they have? And if I look at that and I go, okay, that's 4 wins less. Now, if I take away Aaron Rodgers from the Packers, how many wins do they have less at that point? 5 wins. So let's just say in that case, the player you have in your team is helping you win more games than the next guy. That to me kind of defines more of what an MVP is, of who does the most valuable player for that team, and then the entire league. Because you have MVPs for every team. Every team does an MVP.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, every team does that, and they announce an MVP award for all teams across the board. Now take the sum of all those MVPs, and now which one of those MVPs is now the most valuable player for that specific team over any other team out there in the league. And so I just think that's kind of the way I look at it. But in this case in particular, if you take LeBron James away from the Lakers, I mean, is that team going to be anything?
You're not talking a playoff team.
Exactly. And so that's why I think LeBron makes the most sense for this. And Joel Embiid has done great by himself too. So obviously the 76ers would not be sitting with their current record right now. I think 24-12, something along those lines.
They'd still be a playoff team.
So in that case, you're in agreement. LeBron would be the MVP.
Yeah.
I agree with you on wins above replacement. But
yeah.
If you're going to use that argument, let's just go ahead and take LeBron and Joel Embiid off both of those teams and say that it's Ben Simmons versus Anthony Davis. I mean, who do you think the better team is?
Just off of those two?
Just off of those. If you take both of those guys off of those teams, who's the better team if you don't get to see any of those two guys play?
If you don't see Embiid or James play, you're still seeing the 76ers as a better team.
No, hell no. Hell no.
Easy.
Anthony Davis, when healthy, is a much better player than Ben Simmons.
Yeah, but you also don't have the support cast that the 76ers have. And that's the cutoff right there.
No, I mean, I think they're even. I think you take both of those teams, right? Yeah, I think you guys would both agree with me. Those two teams each have 2 superstars.
Yeah, they do.
And if you take LeBron off the team and you take, you take Embiid off the Sixers,
Yeah.
then you're left with Ben Simmons versus Anthony Davis. I don't think anybody would argue that Anthony Davis is a much better superstar.
I'll take AD over that situation.
Ben Simmons is not even a superstar at this stage of his career.
Ben Simmons could have more of an impact with the roster he has around him than AD could right now.
No,
you take LeBron away, you really don't have a lot.
No, I think if you take both of those guys off, I think if you just have Anthony Davis healthy on the Lakers, they would make it a whole lot farther in the playoffs than the 76ers would without Joel Embiid. But that's an interesting argument that we can continue on another segment.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, with all that said, you guys, those of you out there still paying attention and listening to us, thank you very much for tuning in. Give us a follow on Twitter at Sports Buffoons. Is it 15 on Twitter? Is that right, Tanner?
No, actually, we're just Sports Buffoons.
Just Sports
now.
Buffoons on Twitter, and then
on Twitch as well.
On Twitch, just Sports Buffoons.
I got it all fixed up.
And then give us a follow as well on our Instagram. So we will be updating on that more often as time goes on, and we'll have many more discussions regarding NBA. MLB will be around the corner coming up. The Royals will be in topic eventually here, but we'll see next week what plays out with free agency and what kind of news comes out.
Selection Sunday is the Sunday.
Well, Selection Sunday for Tanner.
Selection
so he's
Sunday,
extremely excited
baby.
about Selection Sunday. He thinks KU is going to be interesting, so I don't know.
It's going to be great. I'm super excited. By the way, at this point, Oklahoma is beating Iowa State, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, anyways, Tanner, no one needed to know that information because it's
Just
NCAA basketball. Anyways, with all that said,
pretty sure both of those teams suck the last time I checked.
Correct. So with that said, we are checking out. So I will see you all on the next one.
Thank you guys for joining. This is JG. I am out.
See you guys.